before Rome, before Egypt, before the pyramids were even a whisper in the desert wind, there was a civilization so advanced, so precise in its knowledge of the cosmos, that modern scientists still cannot fully explain how they knew what they knew. They mapped the stars with telescope-level accuracy without telescopes. They describe our solar system in detail thousands of years before Galileo. And they left behind one chilling explanation for all of it. They said, someone taught them. The Anunnaki, who are they, and were they real? Around 3500 BCE, in the fertile land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, what is today southern Iraq, the Sumerians built humanity's first known civilization. They invented writing. They invented law. They invented mathematics. And among the hundreds of thousands of clay tablets they left behind, they described beings they called the Anunnaki. In ancient Sumerian, the word Anunnaki roughly translates to those who came from the heavens to earth, or alternatively, the royal blood of Anu, their chief sky god. These were not minor spirits or local folklore. The Anunnaki were the supreme rulers of the Sumerian pantheon, a council of 50 great gods who, according to the texts, physically walked among humans, gave them knowledge, and shaped the course of civilization. But here is where the story takes a turn that has divided historians, archaeologists, and theorists for decades. In the 1970s, a controversial scholar named Zecharia Sitchin translated these Sumerian texts and proposed something extraordinary, that the Anunnaki were not gods at all. They were extraterrestrials. Beings from a distant planet called Neteru who came to Earth in search of gold, and genetically engineered the human race as a labor force. Mainstream archaeology largely rejects this interpretation. But the questions Sitchin raised, and the texts themselves, have never quite gone away. What makes the Anunnaki theory so persistent is not just one ancient culture, it is the pattern that emerges when you look at civilizations across the globe, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, and find the same story echoing across all of them. In Sumerian mythology, the Anunnaki descended to Earth and established the first cities. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest written stories in human history, describes gods who lived among men, built massive structures, and possessed knowledge of life and death. Their chief, Enlil, was said to control the weather and the fate of humanity. Another, Enki, was credited with creating human beings from clay mixed, the texts say, with the blood of a god. Move west to Egypt, and the pattern continues. The ancient Egyptians spoke of beings they called the Neteru, divine entities who ruled Egypt before the pharaohs, in a golden age known as Zep Tepi, the first time. These beings were described as tall, luminous, and possessing extraordinary intelligence. They were credited with giving humanity the gifts of agriculture, astronomy, and architecture. The Great Pyramid of Giza remains one of the most precise structures ever built on Earth. Its sides are aligned to true north with an error of less than 1/15 of a degree. It encodes the ratio of pi. It mirrors the layout of Orion's belt. Archaeologists say it was built by human laborers with copper tools and wooden sledges. Others ask, how? And then there is the Bible. In the book of Genesis, chapter 6, there is a passage that has haunted theologians for centuries. The sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, the Nephilim. The mighty men of old, men of renown. Nephilim. In Hebrew, those who came down. Giants. Hybrids. The Watchers. Different name, different language, different century, but to many researchers, strikingly familiar. The same story. Divine beings descending from the heavens and interacting with humanity. Cross the Atlantic to ancient Mesoamerica. The Maya sacred text, the Popol Vuh, describes the creation of human beings in multiple attempts, the first humans made of clay, then wood, then finally maize, fashioned by divine creators called the Makers. These creators, the text says, gave humans knowledge deliberately limited so that mankind would not become equal to the gods. A divine hand. Engineering humanity. Restricting human potential. The story, again, sounds familiar. And then there is perhaps the most puzzling example of all. The Dogon people of Mali, in West Africa, have carried oral traditions for thousands of years describing beings called the Namo, amphibious, fish-like creatures who descended from the sky in a vessel accompanied by fire and thunder. These beings, the Dogon say, came from the Sirius star system. Here is why that is extraordinary. The Dogon possessed detailed astronomical knowledge of Sirius B, a dwarf star completely invisible to the naked eye, centuries before Western science confirmed its existence with telescopes in 1970. They knew its orbital period. They knew its density. They said they learned it from the Namo. No telescope. No instruments. Just a story, passed down for generations. About visitors from the stars. The mainstream scientific community has explanations for all of this, and they are worth hearing. The Sumerian texts, scholars argue, are religious mythology, powerful and sophisticated, yes, but no more literally factual than Greek or Norse gods. Zecharia Sitchin's translations, linguists note, are riddled with errors and creative interpretations not supported by established Sumerian scholarship. The Dogon's astronomical knowledge, skeptics suggest, may have been acquired through contact with European missionaries and travelers in the early 20th century before the famous studies were conducted. And the pyramids? Extraordinary feats of human engineering, yes, but human engineering. We have found the workers' villages near Giza. We have found their tools, their graffiti, their pay records. They were people. Brilliant, organized, determined people. And yet, the questions remain. Perhaps the Anunnaki were never aliens. Perhaps they were something equally profound, the memory of an earlier, lost civilization. A group of advanced humans who seeded knowledge across the ancient world before some cataclysm erased them from history. Some researchers point to the last great ice age, which ended around 10,000 BC, as a potential trigger for a global collapse that wiped out a pre-existing advanced culture, leaving only fragments in myth and stone. Or perhaps, and this is the thought that keeps researchers awake at night, perhaps the ancient people of Sumer, Egypt, the Americas, and Africa were not imagining things at all. Perhaps they were describing, in the only language they had, real encounters with intelligences beyond their understanding. We live in a universe of 200 billion galaxies, each containing hundreds of billions of stars. The idea that Earth, this pale blue dot, is the only place where intelligence emerged is, statistically speaking, extraordinary. What is more extraordinary, that ancient civilizations independently invented the same myths, the same beings, the same stories of sky gods giving knowledge to mankind, or that something actually happened? The Anunnaki may be mythology. They may be misinterpreted history. Or they may be the oldest truth humanity has ever tried to tell, buried under thousands of years of sand, silence, and skepticism. The tablets are still there. The carvings are still there. And every year, archaeologists pull new artifacts from the earth that rewrite what we thought we knew about our origins. The question is not whether you believe in the Anunnaki. The question is this: why, across every continent, in every age, did humanity look up at the sky and say the same thing? The answer may be older than history itself.